The cost of becoming yourself. Why growth feels so lonely. I think I hold on to my vices to remind myself that I'm human, to remind others that I'm human. I fear the day I cut off all of it is the day I lose relatability. And then she said, you don't owe anyone proof that you're human. You're allowed to become someone you haven't met. I continued, the closest ones to you will love to see you win, but hate to see you do what it takes. They'll constantly get in the way of the process, but be excited by the progress. She said perhaps that's a dichotomy to be managed, not a problem to be solved. The tension between what you do and who you do it for. I concluded this. They only love you when you have some utility, but I'll do those things anyway just to keep the tranquility. I told him that I love you. I'll do anything for you except give up on my dreams because that's the only thing that holds my validity toward myself, right? It's like, never mind what they think of me. The only thing that validates me in terms of what I think of me, how highly I think of myself, or rather, the regard that I hold my own self worth to, is how often can I show up for me? It's not, I'm deliberately not going to show up for anyone else. I'm not going to put other people on because I'm a very big believer, and I say this all the time to the people that are around me. The success of the person next to you doesn't take away from your success. Them winning bigger doesn't has no dictation of how big I win. I'm the only one who dictates how big I win. How many hours I put in, my genetic predispositions, and how hard I work to improve in spite of them. How hard I work to make sure that they flourish. That's what dictates the victories. And so it's okay to become someone that you've never met. It's okay to let go of those things that you think make you relatable. Our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate, but it is that we are gifted beyond belief. And what we don't understand is that by letting those gifts shine, we also give those around us permission to shine. So all of this comes from me and my feeling when it comes to earlier this year. I talked about, becoming the viceless man, and letting it all go, and stripping myself of everything that is external to myself and my purpose, my mission, and building that, not finding it, building it, making a purpose for myself, you know, tapping into the things within myself that I feel when I run towards, I'm better for it, and trying to hone those crafts. In so doing, what I found is that when I am in those places, in that mode, it's so easy to talk about isolation. Isolation is a gift. To be away from people who are not about what you're about, and to be within your purpose is the best place to be. And then that's the place where you're building up uh, exactly who you want to be, and then you're becoming that person. It's so beautiful, and how can I say, it's immaculate to talk about. Talking about it, it seems so rosy and like tranquil. it seems absolutely incredible to talk about, yeah, I'll just be by myself and within my purpose and just chopping wood and carrying water, right? And we think to ourselves that this would be a positive state to be in. You'd be fulfilled, happy in that space. But the truth for me, at very least, that I've come to admit slowly but surely is that I tend to bleed, which I did touch on in my notes as well. I'm not less human. I'm just not bleeding for approval anymore. When I don't indulge in my vices to remind other people that, hey bro, because a lot of people say this to me, and this is so real right now. A lot of people say, every time I see your story, every time I see your videos, every time I see your stuff, I think, man, this guy has it so together. And it makes me feel like, man, what am I doing with my life? But they say it almost in like a joking sense, in a sense that I make them feel bad in a sense about themselves and whatever they have going on, in their own internal conflicts. And the truth of the matter is, I believe we all experience these internal conflicts, and more often than not, we give in. More often than not, when rubber hits road, we will choose to uh, fit in with the herd at given moments, and we will choose to focus resources more so on that than towards the dream itself. But the differentiator is obviously to what degree do you do that? How much blood are you willing to sacrifice, right? We talk about bleeding for approval. How much of yourself are you willing to give to make sure that the people remember that you're one of them? And I think it's a very African thing. It's a very innately African thing to want to be a part of a people, and it's very innately African to not want to be isolated to an extent, and that isolation is so necessary in order to hone who it is that you want to be. That isolation is so necessary in order to give yourself the space, the room that you need to grow, to flourish. And in so doing, you're growing into the spaces and moving into the places where you're going to be with other people that are also focused on the type of things that you also want to be focused on. And proximation is the key to immense progress. Is when you roll around with a certain type of person, when you roll around with five people that are winning, doing what they want to do, hitting their physical goals, mental goals, relationship goals, family goals, then you're going to be the sixth. If you hang around with five people who live life like that, you're going to be the sixth. And if you hang out with five people that don't have their stuff together, then you're going to be the sixth of that. Not because you are the sum of the five people you hang around. Actually, the conclusion from that study is you are the sum of the five people you compare yourself to. You're the sum of the five people that are your reference group. Hence, if you look on my X, I'm only following two people. If you look on my YouTube watch history, by and large, you're going to see a lot of comedy. You're going to see a lot of my stress relievers, my micro vices, if you will. And besides those, when it comes to the serious stuff, you're going to see Alex Ramosi, Patrick Bet-David. Only two guys I follow, only two guys that like I look at their stories, and there's a certain type of person that I look at their story, I look at the timelines, and that's what I try and compare myself to. That's what I try and Jeff Bezos, I know that his story is when a lot of people, your Mark Zuckerbergs or whatever, started, they dropped out of college, started at 20, did this and that, but those are the exception, not the rule. Jeff Bezos went all the way through college, worked through whatever. At 30, he starts Amazon. It's not profitable for years, and then boom, he becomes what he becomes. And so the point that I'm trying to make is, you will look at your heroes and you will think a certain way of them, and then when the layers are peeled back, you'll start to realize just how human they are, and that choosing to not do those things anymore or as often is not to decrease your humanity. And I think a big struggle for me is, again, I don't want to be seen as perfect. That's one thing that I don't want to be built up. I don't want to be put on a pedestal. I don't want to be separated from everyone else, because the second you do that means that the second you are not that anymore, the fall is going to be so hard, because you're going to go from being seen as a messiah of sorts to being the worst human being ever, because they find out that you date casually, because they find out that you drink, they find out that you smoke, they find out that you whatever, right? I'm just trying to think, name vices like off the top of my head. They find out that you watch Netflix. They find out that you do things other than um, what you mainly do. Because the truth is, a cool 80% of the time, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. A cool 80. Hence, the results look like what they do. However, I am human, and I try to, or I tend to express that through vices. I tend to express that through bad decisions that turn to good memories at times. I tend to express that through trying to show up in the way that the people that I came up with, grew up with, that I love, understand. And that's been our mutual language of, chill time, hang out time, time away from this and that. And we just never give ourselves the time to learn the new habits, or form new habits, start doing new things, form different habits that will probably cost the same amount, financially, but will have different repercussions physically, different repercussions mentally, different repercussions, like whatever down the line. If instead of putting money together and let's go out and hit the club, let's put some money together, let's go to a golf club. I know that's the worst example I could have given, but hear me out. Hear me out. Let's put some money together. Let's go to whatever, man. I'm trying to think of sport examples, because I'm a sport guy. A lot of my friends are sport guys. Um, Like, let's go book whatever, do whatever that isn't necessarily just heathenism and just getting lost in that. And let's actually spend time together. Perhaps even with the beautiful women, if we want to keep those vices in, and substitute some. But the point that I'm trying to get to is that we could do better. I could do better in terms of those outlets, in terms of not seeking that approval at all, but also understanding the reasons why that is sought after, the reasons why I see those, reason why we do those things and want to show up in those ways is because we are human, and we are perhaps products of our environments. We're products of the coping mechanisms that we've developed along the way, and we tend to convince ourselves that keeping those. Dave said something that's quite profound in his latest album, The Boy Who Played the Harp. He said, what if I don't want to heal because my identity is pain? I think I'm gonna leave you with that. I'm gonna leave you with that to digest. Just that thought of, what if I don't want to heal because I have created a reputation, maybe even with myself, of being the guy who messes up, being the guy who falls short, being the guy who sets a goal, doesn't hit the goal, and or being the guy who sets the goal, hits his goals, and then is miserable anyway. What if that's the identity that I've given myself, and I'm now caught in a cycle that I've created myself, of pain, expression of pain, and pain again? What if I don't want to heal because that's my identity? And so it's okay to become someone that you've never met. It's okay to suggest things. It's okay to change things. It's okay to become more. Thanks for watching. If you did in fact enjoy, please hit that subscribe button. Um, I've been Sage, standing on business. Signing out.